Coming up right now, everybody, our very special guest. This is a return visit for him. The incomparable Clint Holmes is joining us here on the Jim Masters Show. He's very excited to share some new things he's doing. He's got some new music coming out as well. And he is got a tour that's kicking off. He's going to be coming to the East Coast, crisscrossing the country. Captivating and versatile, our very special guest, Clint Holmes, reigns as a musical chameleon, a jazz singer who can do and has done just about everything. Grammy-nominated, with an electrifying stage presence and a voice that is as well suited for filling a cavernous concert hall as it is an intimate cabaret room. Clint has been mesmerizing audiences on some of the most prestigious stages in the world for years. Stephen Holden of the New York Times called him an entertainer with a capital E, and whether accompanied by a trio at Birdland or Philharmonic at Carnegie Hall, each performance that Clint delivers, well, it has its own unique masterpiece, and having achieved everything every singer and musician dreams of at a level not even he could have imagined, Clint is never content to rest on his laurels. He has topped the Billboard charts in both the US and Canada. His most recent album received multiple Grammy nominations. His TV show won multiple Emmys, and his stage show has received so many awards, too many to even count. And at the heart of his success has always been his authenticity, his remarkable talent, and burning desire to touch audiences' hearts with his many, many gifts. He is a gift to all of us, everybody. Hey, Clint, good to see you there in Las Vegas, and welcome back, my friend, to the Jim Masters Show.
Great to be back. It's good to see you again, Jim. It's been a minute. How long has it been? A year or two?
It's been a minute, yeah. And in that time, I mean, I thought I was busy. You are all over the map, and you have so many exciting new things that you're doing, and that's exciting. And of course, the lovely Kelly, your wife, also an incredible talent. She's quite busy too, right?
Well, one of these days, we got to get you out here, because Kelly's show is, if you think of Carol Burnett meets Lucille Ball on the way to Bonnie Raitt's house. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, she's pretty fantastic, and she has a regular show here in town every other Thursday, and she has finally done what I've been wanting her to do, and that is written a theater piece, a one-woman theater piece. She did that, and now she's been asked to do 6 performances here in November, and I think that that's going to be something that she'll be able to travel all around the country with soon. So she's having a really exciting time.
And you guys have performed together on stage and always have a fantastic time playing off each other, which is such a beautiful thing as well. But I tell you, every time I just open up the paper or go online or whatever, Clint Holmes is there. Clint Holmes is there. Clint Holmes is there. I mean, they always said that Sammy Davis Jr. was a bundle of energy, but you are right there, my friend. Where does all this passion and this thirst and desire to constantly be out there and being connected and, loving the audiences and sharing the music and just making people feel so good about themselves and about life? Where does that passion come from? Because you are one of the best in the business.
Wow, thank you. It comes from a few places. I believe this. I believe that, and I'm not calling myself a great entertainer, but all great entertainers have a need to do what they do. There's something they get from the audience that they receive that maybe they can't really get anywhere else. People say to me, where do you get the energy to do this? And I say to them, I'm in the middle. My band is behind me. I get energy from them. My audience is in front of me. I get energy from them. So I'm right in the middle, and I get so much energy from the music and so much energy from the feedback of the audience. And I think it's true that there is nowhere else that we entertainers can. I write. I love writing. I write music. I'm writing a play, but there's no applause, at least not yet, So the whole thing about being a live entertainer is thrilling. Yeah.
It is. And if nobody has had a chance to see you live, I know people have heard your music for a long time and on the radio and everywhere else. Now, streaming too. And they've had opportunity to see you on television and specials and all kinds of cool things. But if they have not had a chance to see you live, it's a must. How do you constantly come up with all of these new takes on music and celebrating other artists and the history of music and bringing out your new material as well. What is that process like when you create a show? Because if for the audience watching, if you've seen Clint Holmes perform and do a show with a specific theme, when he's back in town, it's a whole new thing he's
Yeah.
doing. What's that process like for you?
There are so many great artists, so many great songs. And then I'm a writer myself. So it's almost like, so many great songs, so little time. For instance, now when I'm at 54 Below in New York, I'll be doing an evening of James Taylor and Joni Mitchell, two artists that I've loved, who I introduced my kids to when they were little, who didn't want to hear them, when they were 10 years old, but now love them. I love the fact that I get to sing some of these songs that I've loved forever and ever, but never performed. So that's kind of what drives me. I just finished last weekend a show at the John Coltrane Jazz Festival in North Carolina, in which we honored the music of Bill Withers and Stevie Wonder, two artists that I, again, have loved forever. And I get to put together the songs of their music that I like best. Same with the James and Joni thing. For me, there's so many songs I love and so many artists I love that I want to sing their songs. I want to interpret them my own way. I want to feel them my own way. I want to find out why they were written, who they were written about, what was going on in the artists' lives. So when I do a show like the James Taylor or Joni Mitchell, people will not only hear the music, but they'll get to know a little bit about the artist. And I think that's a present. I think it's a gift.
Well, you have your voice is like butter, and everybody knows the sound and the voice. But one of the great things about you is you are truly a consummate showman. You are as much a songwriter and a singer and a creator of the music. You take it to new levels. You are a tremendous entertainer. You put on a spectacular show. I mean, you're moving around the stage. Everything is energy. Everything has passion and love and feeling. And you're working with, the musicians, and you're playing off the audience. You love doing that, right? You put it all in, and you give people a real show, a real entertainment experience, not just hearing the great songs, which you're fantastic at, but when they leave, they feel like, holy cow, this was an incredible experience, right?
That's what we want. Um, Not to get philosophical, but everybody needs an escape. We need to turn off the TV, stop listening to some of the craziness in the world, and just go hear some music and connect and feel like the old guys, not the old guys, the old entertainers, the Sinatras, the Sammy Davises. When you went to see them, you felt like you spent an evening with them. And that's kind of how I approach it. I want people to go out and feel like they spent an evening with me and got energized by the music, energized by a great band, music that they can clap along, even sing along to sometimes, and then songs that will move them. I mean, I think that we also need to just sometimes be introspective a little bit. So I try to do all of that in the show. I try to have a lot of fun, music that people already love and maybe haven't heard the way we present it, and then when they walk out, they feel like they've really had a great evening, and maybe even get up the next day and talk about it.
Absolutely, absolutely right. What is the process like when you come up with the idea? Okay, this is what I want to focus on with the show, and how long is that process to then turn it into a show where
Yeah.
you're comfortable with it, you like it, you've rehearsed it, you've done all the research, everything's ready to go, and now let's go on the road and take it on the road. How long is that process to get that together?
So, some are different than others. I think I'm very fortunate. I have a room here in Las Vegas that I work 8 to 10 times a year, maybe even 12 times. It's a phenomenal room. It's my quote unquote my home room, and my Las Vegas fans come to see me, so I can go in there and I can literally say, okay, tonight I'm gonna give you some new music that's even maybe a little bit new to me, and we'll experience the growth of it together. And that's a great thing to have, because then I find out what really works, what doesn't work. I thought I'd like it more than I do, but I didn't realize I'd like this song that much, that kind of thing. And then I can take it out on the road. So, and some shows take a long time, and some shows just kind of happen in terms of the material. Like the James Taylor, I have been a fan of his so long. I'll tell you a quick story. When my kids were young, we would go on road trips, and I would play James and I would play Stevie Wonder, and they didn't want to hear it. You know, it was like, oh, Dad, that's corny. About 4 or 5 years ago, my daughter, who is now obviously a grown woman, called me up and says, Daddy, I want to take you on a date. And I said, okay. And she said, meet me and we'll drive. And she took me, she had bought tickets to go see James Taylor here in Las Vegas. And we sat there together crying, remembering how much that music meant to me when she was a kid, and now how much that music means to her. So when I put that show together, it just flowed out of me. In fact, I had to cut songs. There were so many songs I wanted to do that I couldn't do them all. So that one was easy. Some of the other ones you have to figure out, but that was an easy one.
What inspiration too to have the family involved like that,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Where
yeah.
does a lot of your inspiration come from?
No. For the shows, or for writing, or just in general?
I would say maybe, yeah, maybe you can break it out a little of each. Like, for example, I asked Melissa Manchester when she was on, what's the process? How are you able to create these great songs? And
Uh-huh.
where does the inspiration come from? And she said, Jim, I could be waking up from a nap and all of a sudden I've got this inspiration that's flooding over me
Yeah.
from a
Yeah.
dream I had or from the way the sun is coming through the window. I
Oh, I love
run
that. I
I
love
run
that.
right to the piano.
Uh-huh.
I've got a recorder sitting right next to the piano. I press record and I just start working it out, and I'll just start playing whatever's flowing through me to capture what this inspirational fleeting moment is, and
Uh-huh.
then I'll go back to it and work with it later, but I got to capture it as it's happening. How about you? What are some of the things that inspire you, and how do you capture the inspiration?
Okay. Well, I love Melissa so much. That's a great story. Thanks for sharing that. Um, about 15, 16 years ago, I had cancer, right? And I was one of the lucky ones. They found it early, and I got through it relatively quickly. But I was also going through some issues in my life at the time. And the having the cancer made me just kind of go, wait a minute, man, you're not infallible. You need to make decisions. You need to do the things you want to do in your life, and not just sit around saying, well, one day I'll do that. Right. So as soon as I felt better from the surgery, as soon as I felt better, I sat down at the piano, like Melissa's talking about, and this whole song came to me. Um, and the lyric idea was, if not now, when? In other words, if you're not going to do the things you want to do in your life now, what are you waiting for? Tomorrow's not promised. So that song was written in 20 minutes. It is now my theme. So I close every song, every show with it. I wear a necklace that is a question mark, and on the back says, if not now, when? And I try to live my life like that. So it just came from a moment, a time, what I was going through in my life, and I wrote it, and there it was. So I understand what Melissa is saying. When you have an idea, you need to just get it down, and then the work begins. That song was never work. It just all kind of wrote itself. But a lot of times there'll be an idea, and then you write it, and it may take you days or weeks to kind of figure the puzzle out. But it's almost always based on some inspiration, you know?
The last time we had chatted, we were going through a very unusual time in our lives, and we all had that pivot and pause and,
Yeah.
work through all of that. What are some things since then that Clint Holmes has learned about himself, and how has anything that you've learned during that time of reflection and moving forward, how has any of that been weaved into your story and into your music?
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing I learned is I I should not spend time with negativity, whether it's a person, an idea. Um, I it's just a waste of valuable time. I think that was another instance of kind of going, wow, man, we're going through this, we're all going through it, and now a year later we look back and go, well, what? There was a whole year of our lives that we couldn't do the things that we were used to doing. So time became even more precious. I think that is one of the things that the pandemic did to both my wife and I. Time became more precious. The people we spend it with are more precious. We don't go to every event we're invited to, because a lot of times we would do it for the wrong reason. It's just we value our time. So I think that was the single biggest lesson that I got. And then hand in hand with that, I put more into everything I do. I mean, I think I always did, but I think now, again, to sing a great James Taylor song, a great Stevie Wonder song, a great Michel Legrand song, is so special that I don't want to do it half-heartedly. The other thing, Jim, that I have started to do is teach young singers, young entertainers here in Las Vegas. We have an organization called Positively Arts, and I'm the I don't know, they gave me some title, but basically what I do is I work with these talented young kids because I can give them something that I never got, which is the advantage of knowing what's coming, knowing what's coming down the line. So I think that's an important thing that happened over the past few years to me, that I really want to give, quote unquote, I want to give back. I want to pay it forward. Now's the time for me to do that.
What a beautiful thing to be doing. And is that something that you had always hoped you'd have time for, to want to mentor and inspire young minds and others that want to partake in this industry?
No, it wasn't like I walked around saying that's something I want to do until I did it.
Mm.
Once I did, I remember one of the first times I went to a school to teach. We have a great school here called Las Vegas Academy of the Arts. And I went in to work with some young singers, and I didn't know what I would say to them, really. But as they sang and as I talked to them, I started to go, oh, here's where I can help. And I remember after that hour or two, whatever it was, I got in the car and I called my wife and I said, I just saw the light in kids' eyes go on. And that was so incredibly exciting when you go blah, 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 blah. And the kid goes, oh, you go, I gave them something. I gave them something that they, so it wasn't like I was looking around trying to do that. But once I started to do it, hopefully it's rewarding for them. And I know it's rewarding for me.
Who inspired you early on coming up? I know, of course, your parents were very
Yeah.
involved in the musical world as well, and
Yeah.
entertainment. They're a huge source of inspiration. Who are some of the folks, in addition to them, that inspired Clint Holmes along the way as he was coming up the ranks?
Harry Belafonte, Sammy Davis Jr. I was that kid waiting for the Ed Sullivan Show to come on every Sunday night. When I was really, really young, a little kid, because I already knew I was going to sing. I knew I was going to sing in probably third grade. People say, when did you decide? I never decided. It's just what I did. And part of it is because both my mom and dad were singers. So that was a very kind of natural thing to do. But I remember at the beginning of this conversation when you asked me about entertaining, and I said, I think part of it is need. I think that those of us who go on stage night after night after night after night with energy, it's because we need the interaction with the audience. We need the creativity of finding our way through a song, all of that stuff. And I think I needed that when I was a little kid, because I was a biracial kid growing up in an all-white community when there weren't any of me. My sister and I were the only two people like us. And so when I got up and sang, it was the first time the kids liked me. So I think mine came from a need, and then it just grew from there and grew from there. So my inspiration was a lot of things. Mom and dad, watching these great entertainers and singers, people like Sinatra, perform on television, dreaming of what Las Vegas must be like. And having my little band in high school, having my college band, being in the Army band, and then going on and having a career. As my ex-wife used to say, you've never had to wash a dish. You've always been able to make a living as a singer. Put 3 kids through college as a singer. So I've been very lucky that my passion has been my life.
It sure has and continues to be, my
Yeah,
friend. And England, of course, the original spot, right? Beautiful
right.
England. Yes. How did growing up in England or having that influence of the British culture influence anything that you're doing even today?
Well, I came over as a very young. I was a baby. I think I was 2 or 1 or something. Um, but my mom was British, so growing up, I had that influence every day. My mom was very polite. My mom was very, very big on pronunciation, enunciation, you know, speak clearly when you sing clearly, make sure that everyone can understand what you're saying. My dad was a jazz singer. So my dad was much more into the kind of the street, shabba stuff. And my mother was very much like British. My mother was made sure that I learned how to sing correctly, that my technique was correct. My dad, I say this on stage, my mom taught me how to sing correctly. My dad taught me how to enjoy it. So I had best of both worlds coming up. But my mom, who was British and who was an opera singer, by the way, her influence stays with me to this day. The things that she taught me, she was very big on politeness. She was very big on enunciation, pronouncing words fully. You must always be understood when you speak. She also, as a teacher, and she was my first voice teacher, was very big on the placement of. So I've been singing for 50 years, and I can still sing, and I owe a lot of that to my mom teaching me how to sing, as she used to put it, correctly. So the British side of my family lives on, and I'm grateful for her, just as I'm grateful for my dad, because my dad's influence was a jazz singer. My dad was a kind of a doo-wop guy singing on the street corner with the guys scat singing around, and I learned that when I was a child. And I think the combination of both my mom and dad have been a constant inspiration as an artist, as growing up and now.
You know, one of the things about you that people love, Clint, of course, which I mentioned as I was welcoming you on, is that real authenticity. They feel like you're their friend. They feel like they know you. You're very open. You're witty. You're funny. Like I said,
Right?
you like to play with the audience. You like to have a good time with, fellow musicians and others that are there
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
When now we're living in a world where technology is so advanced and there's AI and auto tune and different things that are being sort of morphed into music. How do you feel about any of that? And do you embrace that? Or are you still a purist? How does it work for you? Because it's changing so much by the day.
I am definitely a purist. Um, uh, my friends started saying you should, chat GPT, I think it is. You should get that. And so I did. I got that app. And one day I was writing a song and I said, you know what? I've never even opened that up. So I opened it up and I said into it or wrote into it, I'm writing a song about a guy who's always wanted to be with this girl, but it's never worked out. And within 30 seconds, it spit a song out. And the song had a, two verses, a bridge, and a third verse. And it was about what I asked it to be about. It wasn't very good, but it was definitely a song. And that made me want to stay so far away from it. Because to me, the great songwriters that we've all known and still know, the Jimmy Webbs, the Beatles, Stevie Wonder, on and on and on, they were writing their songs. There wasn't, they weren't prompters. They got ideas from sitting talking to somebody, from, like you said about Melissa Manchester, from waking up in the morning and seeing the sun and going, that makes me think of this. So I'm a purist. I'm definitely a purist. When I'm in the studio recording, like anybody else, I'll sing out of tune once in a while, and they can correct that if need be. But I'd rather do another take until I sing in tune than just automatically get it fixed. So I'm a purist. I'm a purist.
Absolutely, through and through, which is a great way to be. If we came over to your house there in Vegas
Uh huh.
and we dug into your boombox or your iPod or the stereo system, whatever the case may be, what would probably be in there?
New music. My granddaughter is a musicaholic. She just loves me, and she constantly sends me, Grandpa, do you know this artist? Have you heard of this artist? Have you heard of that artist? And it made me go, I can find these artists too. I don't have to rely on my beautiful granddaughter to do that. So do you know who Phineas is?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She was the one who said, here's a song. It was written by Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother. Well, made me start listening to his songs. And when one of my peers will say, yeah, they don't write them like they used to, I'll say, well, A, they're not supposed to, and that's okay. But B, there are some people writing really good songs. Go listen to Phineas. I mean, listen to Taylor Swift. Whether you love what she does or not, she's an artist, man. She is writing great songs for the era in which she lives. So I want to hear what people are writing now. So if you walked in, on a romantic evening, you might hear Sade, but when I'm listening to music, you'll hear artists that I'm just discovering, because that's exciting to me.
You are always selling out to the concerts. This is why we tell people, I'm going to tell them soon how they can get tickets to the upcoming shows and all, but you continually sell out the residency shows in Las Vegas at Myron's and Smith Center and more, and 7 shows a year, 3 Christmas shows, of course, all on sale now. When that happens, when you're selling out and selling out and selling out, and people are clamoring to get tickets, and then they want to see you again and again and again, I would imagine, having done it this long and really still having that zest and passion for what you do, it must really make you feel really good, very content, knowing that people still really enjoy the blood, sweat, and tears you've put in all these years and continue to do to entertain all of them, especially when things are selling out in the way that they do for anything Clint Holmes.
Well, it's true here in Vegas. I'm also going into new areas, places that I've never worked before. And it's amazing how many people will come to see me because they saw me in Vegas at some point, or they remember the record and all of that. But the thing that drives me is I don't want to let them down, especially, like you say, that I have fans here in Vegas who come to see me literally every time. I have people who fly in from different cities, who drive in from LA, and they show up and they pay for a hotel room or a plane ticket, or and obviously a ticket to see the show. So, Sammy Davis Jr. said to me a time ago, he said, what we owe them is to give them the best we can on any given night. Some nights may be not quite as great as other nights, but as long as you give them the best you have on that night, that's what you owe your audience. So that's what I think about when I'm out there, especially with people who come back and come back and come back. I don't want them to go away saying, I don't know, he seemed like he was walking through that one. I don't ever want that to happen. So that's the drive.
Exactly right. And you've also collaborated with other artists, over the years as well. More recently, releases with Jeff Harner and Diva Jazz Orchestra too. Fantastic.
And Frank Wildhorn and Jane Monheit. We just re-released a live album. For those of you who don't know Frank Wildhorn, his music. He wrote This Is the Moment. He wrote Jekyll and Hyde. Many other great songs. He wrote for Whitney Houston, Where Do Broken Hearts Go? Great writer and a great friend. And we're collaborating and working on a new album for next year. Yes, the Diva Band, we did a tribute to Maurice Hines' show, Tapping Through Life. We redid the music with Ann Hampton Calloway, one of my great friends and one of the best singers in the world, and the Diva Orchestra and me and 2 of the tap dancers, the Manzeri brothers, who were in the original Tapping Through Life. We did that. That's on the jazz charts somehow, which is very exciting. I'm constantly writing and reinventing and exploring. Too little time, too much music. I gotta get it all in,
And there's even a documentary in the works that's happening on you, telling your incredible story. That's in production. How cool is that, huh?
That's unbelievable. that, I mean, let me just say this. I've been working on, I wrote a play called a musical called Comfortable Shoes, along with my friend Nelson Cole. I wrote it 30 years ago, and we came very close to Broadway. It was a matter of timing and money. It never got there, but the story is my family story. My mom, my dad, growing up in the, as I say, the interracial family, when it wasn't accepted, when it was really unusual, and the music and life that came out of that. So I'm still working on that as a one-man show. And that's a lot of why they want to do this documentary, because they want to do something about that journey that is still it's still relevant. It's because the journey of being biracial in the 50s is really about where do I fit? And people go through where do I fit on so many levels that have nothing to do with race. It has to do with so many things. Where do I fit? And that was my journey, and sometimes still is. So these stories, this documentary potential, this play potential, even a lot of the music I write comes from my life and where my life has taken me and what I've learned through my life. So yeah.
Clint, you also have a new single which you have co-written called "A Good Man Now." Tell us about
Oh,
that.
I did.
Congratulations!
How do you know about that?
I tell you, I do my
You have
research. Yeah,
sources, don't you?
yeah.
Um, Years ago, there's a very great man named Seward Johnson, whose work you have seen. He's a sculptor. If you've seen the 50-foot Marilyn Monroe that was in Times Square, if you've seen, the tennis player walking down the street, all of these great sculptures that are all over the world, Seward sculpted them. And we became friends. And his wife Cecilia, who is a incredibly lovely lady, they're so different. He is this guy. He is, hi, how you, that guy, right? And Cecilia is just very quiet and very lovely and very thoughtful. And one day I asked him, I said, Seward, how does it work that you and Cecilia can be such a great couple and you're so different? And he said, well, when I met her, I realized that I'd been a bad boy my whole life, but I had to be a good man now. And I said, boy, is that a song title, right?
It,
So I, I work with a wonderful writer here in Las Vegas by the name of Frankie Moreno. You might know Frankie.
sure.
Yep. And we had been saying, we got to write together. We got to write together. And then finally we got together and I told him this idea. I've been a bad boy my whole life, but I'm going to be a good man now. And we wrote it and we recorded it and we're going to release it. And it's a really good song. It has a deep message for most people, which is, at some point you go, I was very foolish about that. I need to correct that. That's the basic message. And we're releasing that in December. So that's really exciting.
And it's exciting too, because what is it? The first solo release in some 7 years?
Of mine.
Yeah.
Well, I've had the CD, the Rendezvous
Mm,
CD, uh,
right.
which is what got the two Grammy nominations. But yeah, as far as a single, it is the first one in a while. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
You talk about the videos and online workshops. Um, there is the Clint Holmes method. We don't want to
Yeah.
give it all away, but what is the Clint Holmes method?
Okay. It's a lot of things, but it's about performing. It's very simple things that young performers uh, don't think about yet, and my job is to give it to them early so that they can get used to it. It can be as simple as mic technique, where and when to move when you're performing a song, when not to move when you're performing a song, who are you singing to, uh, is it introspective? Are you singing it to yourself? Are you singing it to a person? Are you singing it to the world? It can be a lot of things that I work with singers on. But if you had to put an umbrella over it, it would be, how do you personalize a song? How do you make it totally your own? And that's a lot deeper than it sounds. Um, Most good singers put their own inflections, even their own riffs, their own notes, but that's not what I'm talking about. I will say to them, why are you singing this song? Because I like it. No, it can't just be because you like it if you want to be an artist. It has to be something deeper, and sometimes that's a search. So there are a lot of things that go into the method that I teach. Um, and like we talked earlier about the first time I saw the light go on in a young singer's eyes when I told them something and that they just never thought of before. What I'm teaching, um, the idea is that you will take the idea of an idea and make it your own. What we don't often, and I mean really good singers, and I mean me too, what we don't think about is how deeply we can go into a lyric. The audience does not have to know the story we're telling. They just have to know that there's a story being told, and that it is yours, the singer you're listening to. People will come in and say, "I want to sing My Way." Great song. And I'll say, why? Why do you want to sing My Way? Oh, it's a great song. Well, Sinatra already did it, So great, sing My Way, but why? What is your way? What in your life makes you want to say regrets? I've had a few. What regrets? Go deep into it. And again, we don't know as an audience what those regrets are, but we'll get the sense that that person is singing about something, not just singing Sinatra's version of a great song. Um, and that I have and have had a great teacher by the name of Larry Moss, and I think you know who that is, Jim, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Larry is a great acting coach, a director, and I don't throw the word around loosely. He's a genius, and I've had the honor of being a close friend and student of his for, I'm going to make it up and say, well, since before Kelly and I were together, so over 20 years, and he's taught me so much, and I've been able to kind of take what he taught me when he was working one-on-one with me and understand that I can offer that. I can offer that to Larry is an acting coach. I'm a singing coach. I'm a performance coach, right? But a lot of what I offer is stuff that Larry made me go, oh, you can do that. Oh, I can build that story and make it my own. And so Larry was so influential in my life, and Kelly's too, as an artist. So I try to give some of that back in a singer's way, as opposed to necessarily an actor's way.
You mentioned Kelly, of course, and everybody loves Kelly no more than you. I tell you, she is a consummate performer as well,
Yeah.
and like you said, she's doing well. She's loving it too, because her when she's on stage, when she's doing her thing, people love her too.
Oh, Kelly, and obviously I love her. I love her, but I always take myself as an audience member, and what do I see? And I see a fearless um, comedian, singer, actress. She'll go out on stage. She does a regular show here on Thursday nights, and as we spoke about, for me, a lot of people come back and come back and come back and come back because they love her. So she goes out on stage and she said, we'll talk about 3 days before that. She go, what's happened this week? Anything interesting happened this week? What did we do? Oh, at the grocery store, that lady. Yeah, that was funny. Okay, what else? Anything else? And we'll discuss what happened or if we took a trip. And she'll go out and she'll sing her song and she'll go, so last week, my husband and I were blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, the small experience we had is a monologue. And it's brilliant. And I don't think that I could do that as well as she does that. That is, and she's in the moment. She's fearless. She also says to me, she says, sometimes I'll be doing that and I'll realize I don't have a punchline. It's not going anywhere. People are not necessarily laughing. And she said, that's kind of fun because I have to figure out how to end it and how to satisfy it, even if it isn't as funny as I thought it'd be. And I think that's kind of fearless.
It's the best. It's kind of
Yeah,
like what Regis and Kathy Lee did on their show, where the first
right,
20 minutes was the best. And it was, what happened? Oh, I got stuck in traffic. We got a flat tire. What happened with you? Or when Regis would have his wife Joy on,
right.
which was hilarious because she would keep Regis in line. It was just that banter, that free form, which was fantastic. So you do that, and it's amazing what develops from that, right?
Right. but you have to have the nerve to go out there and say, I'm not sure where this is going,
What is
but I'm gonna talk about the lady who honked her horn at me because she thought I was backing up when I was just sitting in the car waiting for her,
right? Yeah.
and noticed she had purple hair and I was going to get out. Where'd you get the haircut? And all this crazy stuff. But
But
it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
it's invigorating. Hey, did you ever? I mean, of course, people know you from so much, but did you ever think that that would become the hit that it did? For those watching, of course, this iconic song, Playground in My Mind, Clint Holmes, you still hear it today and it still makes you feel good. Did you ever think that would become the song with the connection to the audience for all these years that it became?
No, no. I met Paul Vance, who wrote it along with Lee Pockrass. I was performing in a small little club in the Bahamas. And he approached me after the show and said, do you have a record deal? No, I don't ever. I was a very young entertainer. Do you have a record deal? No. Well, I'm a songwriter. I wrote this, I wrote that. And he said, I got a song you should sing. And so I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. And he said, when you get back home, come to New York, I'll play the song for you. So I go up to New York and he plays this song with little kids going, my name is Michael, and I'm thinking, I want to be Marvin Gaye. I want to be Roberta Flack. I don't want to do this song, but I didn't have anything else going. I didn't have another record deal. So we went in the studio and we recorded it with I think about 6 or 7 little 9-year-old boys. But we also recorded it with Bernard Purdie playing drums. Bernard Purdie was Aretha Franklin's drummer. And that whole rhythm section made that song feel so happy. And the simplicity of the kids made people so happy. And I didn't understand it at the time, that it became a hit because it made people feel happy. And it still does. It still does. So I'm grateful. I didn't get it at the beginning, and that's the truth. But I eventually understood why people like that song so much. Now I think it also calls back to a simpler time, which is important also.
I asked my father, who's also a aficionado, lover of music, what are a couple of songs that have been songs that you have always loved and enjoyed? Whenever you heard them come on the radio or whatever, you just really love them. Playground in My Mind, Ice Castles, Melissa Manchester, and the song Softly as I Leave You have
Very
always been 3 that he has always mentioned as favorites. And it's your song.
Isn't that
Yeah.
wonderful?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Tell him I appreciate that.
Yeah, whenever you hear that song, it really does. It just makes you feel good. Like you say, a simpler time and
Bigger hair.
Bigger hair. But think the money you're saving, right? Icons Reimagined, which is really something special. When you do like a James Taylor and you do some of these other incredible folks, Joni, and do they get to hear you doing it? Are they alerted that Clint Holmes is going to celebrate them? And have they ever, some of these folks that you've had an opportunity to spotlight, who are still with us, of course, have they been in the audience? Have they responded saying, oh, I love what you did. I like your take on my music. Has that happened over the years?
I have had that experience with Sammy. I had that experience with Tony Bennett. I have had that experience with Alan Bergman of Alan and Marilyn Bergman, the great lyricist. So I've had that experience. I haven't had it with Stevie or with James, but you never know. One time I was doing a show called "Stop This Train," which is a John Mayer song. And I had built a show around "Stop This Train." It's about moving your family, either when they pass away, or it's kind of stop the train of life, because I like it where it is right now. That's kind of what the song's about. And I was doing this song at the Carlisle, this show at the Carlisle, and on my night off, I happened to be walking through, and there was John Mayer standing there talking to some people. And I never do this, But I went over and I said, "Excuse me, John, I'm Clint Holmes." And he said, "Oh, hey, man, nice to meet you." And I said, I built an entire show around your song, Stop This Train." And he said, "Oh, where are you doing it?" I said, "Here at the Carlisle." Tonight's my night off, but I'll be doing it next week. And he said, I'll come in. And he didn't, which means nothing. I mean, I don't know why, but I remember thinking, God, I would love for him to have seen a whole story, because it was a story that was built around his song. It wasn't just singing a song. It was an evening that was built around that concept. So he didn't see it, but that show is still out there. It still exists. And I'd love for James to come and hear, you know, his song. But the Icons Reimagined is about writers too. You know, I'm doing a new show called Up on the Roof. Let's Go Up on the Roof. And that's more about the great writers of the Brill Building era, the Burt Bacharach, Carole King, James, Jimmy Webb. It's kind of more honoring the writers as opposed to necessarily the artists. And I love that too. I love doing that show. That's a new show we'll be doing.
That's right, exactly. So you've got a couple of things that are going on
Yeah.
almost simultaneously, which is great. James, Joni, and Me, celebrating the music of James Taylor and Joni Mitchell,
Right.
September 17th and September 20th, 54 Below. If you're not at 54 Below, you're at wonderful Birdland with Jim Caruso and company.
I love guys.
You
Yeah,
you love these places, don't
I
you?
do. I love Jim and Billy, Jim Caruso and Billy
Oh,
Stritch.
Billy Stritch, yep.
And that's a home for me, Birdland.
Yeah.
I love it.
We just had both of them and several other folks on our show. We did a special tribute to Linda Lavin,
Oh,
celebrating,
yeah.
remembering her wonderful life and contributions, you know, much more than just Alice on TV. She was really something else. And so, yeah, let's go Up on the Roof, celebrating the music of pop songwriters, as you mentioned, Carole King, Burt Bacharach, Brian Wilson, Jimmy Webb, with a splash of Lennon and McCartney.
Yeah, if you're going to talk about iconic songwriters, come on, you know, and they weren't the Brill Building, you know, but they were of that era. You know, they were of the Bacharach and the Jimmy Webb era. So yeah, I actually, when we do this show, the next time will be the first time we've actually done it. It's really a new idea that I discussed with my manager Joe Marioni, I'm excited because I always think about the artist Stevie, and this is about the writers. And about the songs they wrote that are still being sung by people, have been recorded 100 times by different artists. So great, long-lasting, wonderful songs. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to just show this on the screen for everybody. For those who are, of course, in the New York area, this is something real special, which we're talking about. Clint Holmes. This is coming up 7 p.m. at the famous 54 Below. We've all been there multiple times. And you can go to his website. He's got a terrific website, clintholmesmusic.com. Find out about all the shows, the music, new releases, everything that's coming out that he's very excited about. And here's some other cool stuff. That's a great shot.
Yeah, that was taken at Harrah's.
At Harrah's.
I was performing at Harrah's for 7 years, starting in 2000. So yeah.
There's another one.
Yep.
Yep. Rendezvous.
Rendezvous. That's the CD that won the 2 Grammy nominations.
That's right. And congratulations on that. Did you ever we just came through the Labor Day. Did you ever do the Jerry Lewis telethon MDA?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
Well, when I was doing it, I was a bit of a young entertainer, so it was exciting because I was meeting, people like Jerry Lewis for the first time, and I think that's where I met Sammy. I think. So I had seen it on television for years and years and years, and now suddenly I'm on it. So it was very exciting to be a part of it. I remember, in fact, I used to also do the United Negro College Fund telethon, which was Lou Rawls. It was kind of the energy behind that, and that's where I met Harry Belafonte, who was, again, from the time I was a young kid, one of my idols, and I got to know him through that telethon. But I got to know Sammy and Jerry and Lola Falana and Wayne Newton from the Labor Day telethon, which we don't do anymore. Which, it's kind of a shame.
I know, I kind of missed that. Exactly right. You
Yeah, it was a
get
big deal. It was a big deal.
it was a beautiful cause, of course, millions and millions raised for the incredible cause. But then you got a chance, you got a chance to see new people, performers and comedians and everything, people juggling. I mean, it was just everything you can think of,
Yep.
and see some of the veterans, the seasoned veterans, coming back out and participating as well. Want to let folks know that in addition to New York City and 54 Below, he's going to be on tour. He's going to be out on Long Island and East Islip at the Bayway Arts Center. You're also going to be in Madison, New Jersey, Toms River, back in Vegas in October, and also in Sellersville at the theater there in Pennsylvania in November. So you got do you like going out on the road and going from place to place? You have your residency, you're planted there in wonderful Vegas, but do you also like to go out and meet people all across the country and beyond?
I do. I enjoy it very much. I enjoy traveling. I mean, not the parts that we all hate, but the going, the excitement of new places and getting there. A lot of times entertainers say we don't get paid to perform; we get paid to travel. So I like it more when Kelly can go with me, but she's busy. So a lot of this next New York trip, she'll be with me when I'm at 54 Below. She'll be with me. But in fact, it's her birthday. September 17th, I open, and September 18th is Kelly's birthday. So we'll be in New York for her birthday, which is
that's great. Yeah, she's a Virgo, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm a Libra, 24th, right after her a couple of days.
Oh, okay. Okay. You missed the cut. Or you made
well, I have Virgo rising, so I am in there from what I've been told. Clint, you were doing this a long time. What are some of those continued blessings and joys in your life that keep you out there for the good of all of us, entertaining us, making us think, making us cry, making us laugh, making us smile? You have done yeoman's work in all these years that you've been out there, putting on incredible shows, creating great music, celebrating the icons as well, and so much more. But at the same time, you could easily be kicking back and saying, I did good. Now I can have my feet in the sand in a hammock with a banana colada in Miami Beach. I'm good, but you still want to be connected with all of us. What are some of the blessings and joys in your life that continue that so for you?
I was given a gift by my mom and dad, the gift of a voice. A singing voice, and that talent. As Larry Moss, who we spoke of earlier, would say to me some nights when I'd be backstage, I'd be nervous or I'd be tired. He would say, "Go give them your gift. Go give them your gift." There's a whole lot of things that I can't do. A lot. I can't change a tire. I have my wife help me change a light bulb, but I can sing and I can entertain and I can write music. So to me, why would I ever stop? As long as I can do it and people want to hear it, I get rewarded, and I'm sharing the gift that I have. So, I'd like to be like Tony Bennett singing when I'm 90,
You will be, and that's probably about 40 years off. So,
love you, Jim.
But we will have you back several times before that, my friend, to keep us updated on all that's going on in your wonderful world of music and all that you continue to give and do. And you really are consummate performer on so many different levels, Clint. And it's always a honor and a pleasure to get a chance to chat with you. And again, folks, he's coming to New York to 54 Below. You're going to enjoy that. And go to clintholmesmusic.com to learn about that show and everything else that's coming up. As we mentioned, he's got the other show too that's really exciting. Let's Go Up on the Roof. And he's going to be celebrating more great music as well. And then he's got his music coming out, more releases towards the end of the year and 2026. And he's got this autobiography and stage play and all these cool things that are happening.
I'm tired.
And did you hear his phone buzzing? I was teasing him. I said, "You got a pizza guy out on the stoop waiting to give you the pizza or something?" the fact that you took this amount of time with us, Clint, makes just it confirmed for us you're one of the nicest guys on the planet and a real. I love chatting with you once again. We're going to keep, as I said last time, the porch light on for you. You're welcome back anytime, and continue to spread the word about our show. And I truly hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, Clint.
I loved it, Jim. I'm really glad we got to do this again. You're a great interviewer and a great guy. And for those of you who are watching, there had to be at least 5 times that something went wrong and it was the internet's fault. But we hung in there, and Jim was great. Thank you for being patient.
The pleasure is mine. Always blame it on the computer and the
Yeah,
Wi-Fi. Always. And your dog's still laying there by your side, sleeping?
Jojo is right there. Yep.
Jojo.
Right there.
I tell you, good thing Jojo didn't bark, because if Jojo was union, that would cost us a fortune.
Yeah, I trained her well.
You're the best, Clint. Congratulations on everything thus far and continuing. And we'll see you out there when you're here on the East Coast. We look forward to it, my friend. And say hi to Kelly for us as well, okay?
I sure will, Jim. Thanks.
All right. You're the best. You take care now.
Thank you.
Cheers. Clint Holmes here on the Jim Masters Show. Again, one of the consummate performers in the music industry, and truly a great guy, and authentic is what everybody says, with wit and wisdom. He belts it out. He cares about people. He loves the industry. He loves the history of the industry. He loves dissecting the music and then really putting his spin on it as well. And just really, again, of course, you know all of his songs and his music because you still hear it on the air. And but if you haven't been to one of his shows, you got to go and you got to enjoy. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you enjoyed this episode of our series, we'd love it if you would give this episode a thumbs up, like. There's a like icon on our YouTube channel for all of our episodes, hundreds and hundreds of episodes you can binge watch. Share this episode on your social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where all the episodes are. And leave a comment below for us as well if you enjoyed this. More great guests coming up for you right here in JMS. All right, we'll see you again soon. Be well, everybody. We love you all. We thank you for your time and for your watching and enjoying. Let us know how much you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. We thank everybody watching and supporting the Jim Masters Show. We love you all, and cheers.